Hey everybody, this is Joe G. Just wanted to talk a little bit about our game project for this year's Global Game Jam. Had a really good time. I'm absolutely exhausted, but I thought while it was still fresh in my brain, we'll talk a little bit about the Ouroboros game. Anybody who participated in the jam knows that we took the theme quite literally, and for those of you who weren't part of the jam, the theme that was one of the sort of constraints of the project was basically just simply revealed to be a picture of the Ouroboros. And if you don't know what that is, that's the snake swallowing its own tail. So the first thing we did was we really analyzed that both as a possible mechanics for the game ideas, of the snake swallowing its own tail, and as well as thematically and metaphorically. So I'm just going to show the game a little bit, and I'm gonna talk a bit about it. So this is our game, and one of the very distinct features that we really wanted to focus on was asymmetrical gameplay. That's where it's a two-player game, but the players have different methods of playing, and at first it was supposed to be completely different goals. By the end, we kind of got away from the asymmetrical purpose for the game, but it was a great starting point for us to really come up with some ideas. So let me explain a little bit about what you're seeing on the screen, and I'll start this game up again. What you're seeing up here is a collaborative sort of health bar, and you can see it actually came up with collaborative bonus when it was in the middle like that, because they were both the same amount, and now you can see that the health is draining. One of the major parts about this game is that there are multiple ways to play it, and in order to win, you actually have to meet all of these different motivations here. The first one was to attain, for a couple seconds, collaborative gameplay, where you guys were both in the middle. And if you don't touch anything, that sort of happens by default, but we don't want to tell too many people that. Also, there's a bonus for Ruthless. That's if you get the other player's health all the way down, which you can see we both just got Ruthless because both of each other's health went all the way down. The next is Skill, which is if your health drops below 50% and you're able to fight your way back up to 100%, the skill light will light up. And then in the end, it's whoever's got the highest score. And if you're playing right along, it's not quite as cut and dry. They don't change at the same time as this, but I wanted to show you some of the mechanics of the gameplay because I'm not showing any of the game yet. So real quick, what we've got is we've got player one, who's this funny little guy in the middle, who's controlled by the arrow keys and spacebar to shoot, and up key, which the game actually started with this interesting idea of the head of this Ouroboros being the gravity center, so that as the game went on, it would pull your character towards the head of the snake, and you had to jump away from the head of the snake while shooting at it or shooting something. And that was interesting, but it led to really hard gameplay, and what we found is the characters bouncing off the walls became impossible to control. So we changed it, put the center of gravity at the center of the Ouroboros, and up became the direction of towards the head. So if I jump right now, I actually move in a direction that's exactly opposite of the head. So it was an interesting little way to handle that and give it the feeling like you're free floating, but still give you some sense of control of this first player. Now you have the controls to rotate your character, the controls to shoot. Now, what's happening is, if you shoot the Ouroboros, the idea is that he can regenerate, and he spawns off these little regenerative snakes. And the idea of the regeneration plays into the Ouroboros theme too. And if you can also charge up your weapon, and if you hit the head with the special, it kind of starts that second player over again. He freezes, you get points, he loses points. And as you just kind of aimlessly mash your buttons, you're creating more of these little spawns, and so you have a chance to earn extra points. But also, player 2 has the opportunity to earn points because he can actually eat them. It's really hard to play as both players at the same time, which is why this game looks kind of weird. So we can see player 2's got a completely different sort of motivation than player 1. Player 2 is trying to eat all these snakes, and that's his goal. And as a special for him to kind of match player 1's ability, he's got this ability to constrict and sort of turn into lightning. And you can see if I touch the edge when he's lightning, it hurts me. So that's kind of the mechanics of the gameplay between player 1 and player 2. And just to talk a little bit about more how our game fits in with the Ouroboros theme, to get ahead in the game, you're kind of swallowing your own tail. For instance, when player 1 charges his attack, you'll notice my meter goes down faster. That's that meter, the blue meter up here, goes down faster. And that's, obviously not wanted. You want the meter up so you can attain these abilities. It looks like I would win if I got my skill, if I managed to get my bar all the way to the right now. You can see player 2 doesn't have those two criteria met. So if I beat him to the punch, I would win this game. So yeah, that's the basic mechanics of the game. That's basically how it works. The same thing could be said for the other player 2. If he does his attack, you can see it drains quicker. So a couple more things to note about this game. The soundtrack, I composed the soundtrack, and I wanted the same sorts of things in mind with the soundtrack as the theme of the game. So again, we have two sort of combatant, unrelated motifs going on. If you listen, there's one that's in like a standard 4, and there's like a sort of a 6/4 that's playing in triplets in the different instruments when the second verse comes in. So the two sort of combative themes that work together sort of represents musically what's going on with the two different players that are playing the game. Also, you notice it's changing between doing this melody and the motif with these sort of more electronic instruments, and then after the first sort of drum break, you get the same motifs being played with analog ambient instruments, ambient drum kit, analog piano, string section. Then you'll hear it changes right after this little break beat. Piano picks up, and then it's the same motif, but now with ambient instruments. Something else to note, everything in this game, every single aspect of this game was created within the 48 hours by me or a member of the team. For instance, all the sound effects I did this morning, with most of them with Audacity, and just that crunch sound was actually the bag of potato chips I was eating for breakfast this morning, put through some filters. The laser, that sound, this sound, that sounds kind of like electricity, especially after he says electrifying. That sound is actually me with a barrel full of pretzels, rolling it around and putting a little bit of a noise track underneath it. Had some great feedback from the people at our location. I had a good team to work with. This was made in GameMaker. It was made using 3ds Max for the graphics, which we rendered into sprites, and the idea was to port it to HTML5, GameMaker HTML5. We really wanted to try that platform, but we had a lot of trouble porting our GameMaker file to the HTML5 version of GameMaker, and it was mostly because of the audio files, I think. So we were down to crunch time. We decided, okay, let's go full board and do the EXE rather than have a sort of half-working GML or HTML5 file. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the looks of this game. We had a great time making it. We thought it was sort of unique, and so did everyone at our location. So really great opportunity to be part of.